cool.
And just to make sure that it's working properly.
Yeah.
Just curious how long it takes to kick on. Oh, looks like it's starting.
Yeah, my screen says offline still, so we'll see.
I know apparently it takes a few minutes to kick on.
Curious how long it takes to kick on.
Okay, so I better mute it on mine.
Looks like it's started.
Is it working on yours now?
My screen says.
Hello?
Yeah,
Oh.
the advertisement kicked on, so you know,
Oh, okay.
after the advertisement, it'll come up live, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it came on mine, so. I guess I should put my face on there, eh?
Yep.
There we go. I just spent a couple hours doing some small blind research. That was fun.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, just doing my, just got a new follower. John Burke. Cool. Yeah, I just reviewed like a lot, every hand where I was raised first in from the small blind over ACR's hands. So that was, I had a couple spots that, you start to see where you're, it's nice when you start to see some trends, right? Where you can fix them.
Yeah, gotcha. Definitely good when you start to see, an upwards trend, at least maybe not in profitability, but at least like in decision making kind of, trends going in the right direction for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know, I'm on your Twitch page looking at the screen here.
Okay.
Do you know how to, because I'm really unfamiliar with Twitch, do you know how to pull up the chat so I can see the chat?
Is it on the sidebar on the right hand side?
I don't have anything in the sidebar now.
Is there an arrow near the top, maybe, of the screen? You're following me, right? Yeah, so you should have the chat option.
Let me look at options here. Show video stats, pop out player, so theater mode, full screen.
Just trying to see. View all room. No. Okay, yeah, there was an arrow in the top right corner of your screen.
Hang
on, I'm gonna pull it onto the mic. Can you see my screen?
Oh, that tiny little arrow. Okay, I see it now.
Did it work?
The tiny little hidden arrow.
Yeah.
Cool deal. Oh, Dude Views. Hey, what's up, buddy? He's in the chat right there, Dennis.
Yeah, I just said hey back to him in the chat.
Yep.
I'm wondering, it's not showing any viewers, but he's viewing, so.
He's on, so I'm sure. My screen says, I don't know how this works.
Well, it's nice when you know how many are out there, right? So you know.
Yeah, gotcha.
But I guess if they're chatting in the box.
Yeah, but Dude Boobs is on.
Yeah. Do you know?
Or do you to say it properly?
I'll give it a couple more minutes, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Good. So what did you find out as you were going through the hands today on your own?
Well, what I noticed was I was, like I said, just checking the ones where I raised first in from the small blind. And I never realized just how often that play works.
Oh,
like there's hardly anybody ever calling, and a lot of times when they're calling, it's like you bet, and they fold, right? So I think it's a spot where I was completing the small blind a lot, and I'm never doing that again. When I'm first, it's too profitable to be raising instead there.
It is.
The one thing.
What are you making it, 2.5 or 3 big blinds?
I'm losing in the small blind still. Right?
Oh, when you open?
Oh no, I didn't get down to that filter. I should have. You're right. Now that I say that, actually, I was losing in that position, but I was looking at hands back to April.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, things have changed a lot in the last few months with how I'm playing in that spot. So I didn't really put much weight into that.
Gotcha. Yep. Oh, Dude Boob says 3 viewers. I see on my screen now. There's a little viewer thing. It says 9.
Yeah, it says 9 now. Yeah, cool.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're out there, say hi in the chat. Yeah, so I'm just trying to remember what you're asking there, but yeah. So, but I just noticed in some spots that confirm that you should be making certain plays. Just make those plays, right? Don't make the right play. And I mean, I was raising with 5-2 suited and those types of hands, and they fold. They don't know what you have, right? So you're showing strength.
Yep.
Oh, just got another follow. Who's that? Noodle the River. Hey, Mark. I don't know if you know Mark Curry. He's got a
Yes, I do.
He's got a Twitch stream too, and he helped me out a lot with this. Thanks a lot for that, Mark. He's actually streaming right now, I think, because he's in the odds and outs. They've got a group and they do a tournament on ACR.
Okay.
It's like a $2 entry.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're running it right now, so he's going to try and pay attention here and play poker and stream at the same time.
Yeah, good luck with that. Well, you and I were at the bottom of that list for sure.
Yeah, he's a better man than I. Yeah, everybody bear with us. This is only the third time I've streamed. Second time doing studying, but I've done it one time playing tournaments last week. So, so I don't know. Do you want to get?
I got my eye on the Twitch stream and everything. Like I can see your screen just fine. Everything appears to be okay.
Okay, you're good to go. Do you want to get started then?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So I pulled up this just because this on Poker Tracker 4. I don't know if anybody else is familiar with doing this type of hand report. It's actually called a player report. And Sky will know why I've got this up, but this to me is now my new leak finder. In a sense, right? Because it shows in position my chips won and blinds per 100 in the small blind, big blind, early position, middle position, cutoff, and button. And if you can all see that, the green is showing a positive big blinds per 100. And we've got one spot that is negative big blinds per 100. So my theory, or I guess it's not my theory, but my coach, one of my coaches, Alex Fitzgerald, his theory says that means I should be working on my small blind play. That's the fastest way to get my game, to improve my game. So a lot of people will find negatives in the small blind and big blind, and that's kind of why, we're doing the big blind tonight, but this is probably helpful to a lot of people. But I think also keep in mind this is a small sample, only 22,000 hands that I've done this for. But if anybody wants to know how to do this filter, I'd be glad to show you.
Walk us through it right now so we can see it.
I'll show you right now.
It's not. It doesn't take too long, right?
No, it's like so when you hit new report. Yes, I want to overwrite. So when you get your so instead of a hand report, what you would do to get your statistics, we're going to do a player report and just hit fit. Oh, don't want to just finish it because that won't give us the stat we need. So player report next, and we're going to go by position. Hit finish, and that shows by position. But then we're going to come down here. Maybe there's a quicker way to do this, but this is how I've done it. And you can search the stat big blinds per 100. All stats, big blinds per 100, and then it will sort it in by position and your big blinds per 100. So it's fairly simple, fairly straightforward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. But so where do you want to start with the filters that you sent me?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it. Let's see what comes up as you filter through those hands.
Okay. So let's see. I made a couple quick filters. What was the first small blind or big blind call a 2-bet pre-flop? That was the first one, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so I'm just going to do that report.
Yeah, so when you run this one, what you're looking for is to see just how, first off, you're just basically looking at your profitability when you're calling 2-bets in the blinds. You can look at both of them simultaneously or just one. That's totally up to you. But you want to look at the profitability when you're making calls because when you think about it, you're purposely calling knowing you're going to be out of position, right, from one of the two blinds. So
right.
If you've never thought about this, I mean, a lot of players call with hands that they really shouldn't against players that are raising really strong ranges or even against guys that are raising really wide ranges when they don't have any post-flop leaks. You're really just hurting yourself by calling too wide out of the blind. So running this filter that you're doing, calling 2-bets out of the blinds will really tell you if you're winning or losing money. And it's really good if you've never looked at it before.
Right. So that's what you're saying here at the bottom where it says 2.4 million chips? Is that what you're saying about the profitability of it?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, no, the BB per 100, because no matter what, in the long run, because you're a tournament player,
Right.
you're going to be losing chips no matter what in the long run, right? Because the only time you're not losing chips in a tournament at the very end is when you get first place.
So I can
You
still
end with chips.
so I can still add that filter big blinds per hundred. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what you want to look at. You want to see, when I talk about profitability, you want to see your big blinds 1 per 100 hands. Because no matter what, when you run all these different types of filters for tournament hands, you're going to get a negative chips 1 no matter what. When you're a cash player, you end sessions up and down. But in the long run, hopefully you'll be up in dollars, you know.
So how do I get to that next part of the filter then? Like so I have it here showing chips 1, but how do I do I have to do that?
Don't go into the My Reports filter. Just go back to the statistics, the stats tab.
Down here? Available stats?
No, the stats. You're in My Reports, right? Go to the button directly to the left.
Oh, sorry, statistics, right?
Yeah. So right there, this is where I do all of my filtering. I use the My Reports occasionally, but most of my stuff is in the statistics. And 99 problems 1 just followed. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks, 99 problems.
Thanks. So down on the left, once you go back to the statistics.
For some reason, it's taking a while to load here.
Okay, no problem. But you'll just go to My Filters down there. Yeah, does that make sense? How no matter what the chips in tournaments, eventually you're going to be a loser in chips because whether you get knocked out in second place or
Right.
152nd place, you're losing chips in that tournament. Like your starting stack is gone no matter what.
Yeah, right. I hear you for sure.
And any chips that you've accumulated are eventually gone unless you got first place.
I'm just wondering if my poker tracker is being overrun here. Don't have that many programs running. Oh, there we go.
Okay, cool.
Statistics. So this is okay. So we got this.
So
So small blind. Yeah. So small blind is showing minus 3 million chips almost, and big blind 3.6. So big blind's 1. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, big blind's 1 is still showing positive in the big blind, but minus 907 in the small blind.
No, not big blinds 1. Big blinds 1 per 100 hands. You're minus 900 per 100 hands?
Nope. You're right. That's big blind's 1.
Oh, okay.
Do I have to add that statistic to this report?
You might have to if you don't already have it.
Yeah, I don't see it. Okay.
Okay, so right-click within the report. Oh, within like those numbers, go down a little right there, and then configure report. And in the search, hit VB/100. And I think it's going to be the only option.
Yep, there it is.
That pops up. So there you go. It's at the end of the report. You can move it up or down now, but
Is that
wherever you want for placement wise.
Let's move it to there. Well, it's moved up further.
Okay.
I thought. Did it add it?
It has to refresh, so maybe it just now refreshed right then. Is that BB per 100?
Oh, right here, yep.
Okay.
So it's saying.
So what's your BB per 100?
The small blind is saying 37. Big
Okay.
blind's 1 per 100 hands.
Uh-huh.
And the big blind minus 300? That can't be right.
Minus 300. So the big blind is where you have a big leak when you're just calling 2 bets.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm sorry. This is with that filter on. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now it seems like when you're calling 2 bets in the small blind, you're probably calling within really narrow range because just because you're in ultimately the worst position. So you're probably calling with a tight range. But when you're in the big blind, maybe you don't even realize it, but you already have 1 big blind in the pot. You might be really willing to call a ton of hands when you have that big blind in.
Right, which I am. Yeah.
Like you're negative 300. I mean, just imagine if you folded every single big blind, you'd be at negative 100 per 100, right?
Right.
But you're at negative 300. So because you've been calling, however often you're calling, maybe you're calling one out of every 3, one out of every 5 chances, whatever it is, you've tripled the losses that you would have had if you would just folded everything instead of calling.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure it does. But what doesn't make sense to me is that when I do my player report, it shows that I'm positive big blinds in the big blind per 100. But here it's showing negative when calling, where I was attributing my success in the big blind from calling so many 2-bets.
I'm not sure. I can't really see on the screen.
Right, but it also could be because when I'm calling, where I feel that where I'm being strong with it is when I'm calling a minimum bet, but maybe it's because I called larger 2-bets as well that I'm getting the negative effect.
Well, possibly, but you might be calling just way too many negative. I'm sorry. You might be calling too many min bets. For every hand that you call and lose, even if you don't put any more big blinds in, that's -2 big blinds per hand, right?
Yeah.
So out of 100 hands, you would be at -200.
Right.
So you're probably just calling a bit too liberally. So once you run this filter, you want to look through the hands, and then what you want to see is the you just want to look at the quality or the strength of the hands that you're calling.
Right.
You might be calling a lot of 10-5 suited or Jack-7 offsuit that you think, oh, I might hit lucky. I might be able to hit 2-pair or something, or a miracle straight with a hand like this or a flush. When you don't hit anything on the flop, which is most of the time with those crappy hands, you just have to give up. So you're losing that 2 or 2.5 big blinds that you put in pre-flop.
So I, after all that great explaining, I have to apologize because I made an error in reading this to you. In the big blind, it's the opposite. I read it backwards.
Oh.
The stats are where was the big blind per 100? So in the big blind, I am positive 37 big blinds per 100. Oh, it's in the small blind that I'm minus 300 chips per 100.
Well, right.
So that makes more sense to me now. That makes perfect sense because yes, in the small blind, I've been for most of the year I've been calling way too wide, calling instead of maybe 3-bet. Even when I know I should probably 3-bet, I'm calling, or calling hands that I shouldn't be in, and this is the effect of what happens.
Yep, that's it right there. So if you had now this leak of yours is even more pronounced because if you had folded every single small blind, you'd be at -50 BBs per 100. But now you're at -300, so it's 6 times worse.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like that's what I'm calling with suited connectors or weak aces or even strong aces instead of 3-betting them, because now I'm playing in the worst position for the rest of the hand, and that just kind of shows everybody right there just how much position means right there.
Totally. Yeah. What about I can't, the screen, what I'm looking at is a little small for me. Which report are you on? Like, how do you get to where you can view the hands that come through in this filter?
So then we go back to, is it results?
No, I always look under statistics.
Or my reports.
I don't look at,
what
was that?
You want the hands.
Yeah, the hands, yeah. So we could take a look at some of those small blind hands and see what strength of hands you're calling with, Right.
Yeah, just let this load up here. I wonder if this stream, I don't know if anybody else does streams, but I don't know if that's what's slowing me down here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could be.
Noodle the River also says he has a leak in small blind as well. In MTTs, he has a small blind leak. Hey, Gambate, AK Builder said Gambate today. That's cool.
Gambate, yeah. What's that again? Good luck?
It's kind of like, let's do it, let's get it on. Work hard, strive for greatness. Gambate is like everything rolled into one.
Okay.
It's basically like, what's his name says, let's get her done, or get her done,
Yes, yeah.
It's basically like that.
So here's those hands, the last 500, so that'd be the same hands, the 500 hands, right?
Yeah, however many you have it set to pull up, yeah. And then so what you could do is sort it by your hole cards. So we could take a look at your different hole cards and see how strong they are. So just hit that column right there. At the top will pop up your strongest hands that you've called with.
Okay.
And I can't see it. What's the strongest? Is that
aces?
Oh, pocket aces. Okay, cool. So you don't always 3-bet your aces, huh?
Well, 3 times I didn't. Oh, and it could be that they shoved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Oh, that's right. It could be that they shoved and you just called with your aces. That's totally true. Yeah. But so what you want to do now is look at those hands and scroll through and find some of the worst hands and then take a look at that hand, replay the hand, and figure out, hey, why did I call this here? Was there a reason? Did I have a good reason? Or
so should I flop the filter to the opposite end of the extreme?
You can, or just scroll down.
And then showing pocket 2s, 4-2, 4-3. So you can see right there that if I'm calling 2-bets with 4-2 and 4-3, I mean, some of those are the big blind, right? Let's take.
Do you have it?
I was going to say, why don't I take
highlighted to see small blind or big blind hands?
Well, considering my big blind is a winning spot, why don't I change this filter to just small
totally
blind.
change it to just small blind.
Okay, so what would I do here? Do I add filter or should I start from?
You can exit out of that,
Okay.
and then hit add filter,
Okay.
and then go to pre-flop action opportunities pre-flop, and then
Post the
click
small
in.
blind.
Yeah, just click the small blind, and then also go back to
Add filter.
Scroll down.
Oh, call
Scroll
pre.
down, and then pre-flop calls, call 2-bet, or any 2-bet, I guess, or whatever the wording is.
Okay, so we got posted blind, ante, small blind, and raised pre-flop any 2-bet. Oh,
There you go.
Is that raised or called?
Oh, I don't know. What did you select? It should be call any 2-bet.
I think I did it
raised
wrong.
2-bet.
Hang on, let's start again. Sorry. Pre-flop, small blind,
Yep,
pre-flop
and scroll
calls.
down, pre-flop calls, and then
Call
called any
2-bet.
2-bet.
Okay. There we go.
Now this is going to show you, once this filter comes through, it's going to show you multi-way and heads-up pots. Later on, you could do an additional filter to see how you're calling when you're going to just be heads up,
Right.
Or you could take a look at multi-way when there's been a caller and 3 callers, or a limper and 3 limpers behind, whatever. And so you could drill down even further into the call 2-bet hands to really figure out where your negative profitability is coming from, where your losses are coming from, I should say.
So would it be smart at this point too to hit chips 1 and just look at the losing propositions? Because it'll filter by.
Well, you could do that, but the first thing I would do is take a look at my hand strength, the whole cards that I chose to call with.
Right.
Just to look at, there could be some, like I said, some 10-4 suiteds and stuff that really need to hit hard to win chips.
Well, that's what I'm seeing as I scroll down. It's starting with 2s, and then and from the small blind, I'm calling with pocket 3s and 4s, 5-4, 5-3, 6-3, 6-4, some suited, not suited.
So you just now said 6-3. Yeah. Let's open up that 6-3 hand and take a look at it. Let's see why you called 6-3.
Okay. Oh, there's 2 of them. I won. Well, I'll look at the one that I lost. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but yeah, this is a. Hope everyone's paying attention because this is a way that I haven't looked at it to go by the hands. That's really smart. Oh, I didn't want to pick that specific hand. Well, because I have picked replay all. Hang on. Sorry, guys. I apologize that my computer's running slow here.
Yeah, in the stream, there's like a, 5-second delay.
Is there?
That about right?
I wonder if it has to.
Yeah, probably.
Probably needs.
Just because of the lag between, connecting from your computer to the server, down to Twitch, and back out to the people, I guess there's always a lag, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say 5 seconds is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look here.
So just run back through the hand, and let's see why you chose to call. Who opened first, and what happened.
Well, and you see, and I'm just waiting for the HUD to pop up here, but like this guy's raising almost 2.5x, and I'm calling.
Okay, are you the because I can't.
I'm the small blind.
Let me see here. I can see it now.
There's the HUD. Now, and again, in my defense, this is a hand from back in April before I really got into the getting coaching and really thinking about these spots. So I think this just comes down to, I thought, suited connector in the small blind.
Yeah, a suited 2 gapper. You said, I'll give it a shot.
Or sorry, yeah, 2 gapper, and then get a gut shot.
What are his stats? I can't make that out.
I've got 58 hands. His C-bet's 33, and I'm check raising him here. Maybe because the paired board trying to look bluffy, or like I fit it, but and then.
And you probably check fold here. Oh, you check called again.
And then I didn't. I might as well have gone for the triple barrel there, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah. So,
I didn't see that. I didn't catch it. I didn't catch the action. You bet the turn. You donk led the turn after he called your check raise.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I said, this is before I really got into some hardcore study on these spots, and I'm looking at it. Yeah, like that's just a flat out, very poorly played hand. Right from the start, shouldn't have been in it, and then just tried to salvage it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not a fan of getting in pre-flop. The check raise itself isn't so bad because that is a hard flop to hit.
Right.
He could have a ton of aces and kings that just completely whiff the board. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and I'm kind of representing
bad play, but then continuing it up with. So he wasn't scared of your bet on the 5-5 deuce. So when the other 5 came out, he's definitely not going to be scared still. If he thought he had the best hand when he called your check raise, he would still think he has the best hand on that turn 5.
Right.
He probably figures his full house, whatever that pair is the best.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I guess maybe too, like you say, the check raise isn't that bad because it could be representing a 5 or a flush draw, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And he might not be able to stand the heat, and he'll just jump right out of the kitchen. I mean, I don't know what kind of player he is. You only have 58 hands on the guy, so.
I like.
I mean, I can never blame somebody for trying a bluff on one street. When you when you when you throw out the multiple bluffs, street over street, that's when it's possible that that's when the bluffing could be bad. You're throwing bad money or throwing good money at worse.
Right.
I guess is how the saying goes.
And I don't know if you saw in the chat, but Wayan says even I wouldn't have done that. Don't worry, Wayan. I probably wouldn't do it again. And yeah, dude or doob or however you say that. Yeah, you should. If you're not using any tracking software and you're saying this is the first time you've seen Poker Tracker, I mean, I know Sky recommends it constantly, but I do too. It's a must-have.
Oh yeah, he uses Javaro for stars and nothing for other sites. Yeah, man, we really do recommend getting on Poker Tracker 4. It is. It's an incredible software, and then not only for the HUD and using it in game and stuff, but like this review that Dennis and I are doing right now, you're able to really drill down into your hands, not only your hands, your opponent's hands, and really figure out where people and yourself are just making mistakes, so you can correct those leaks or take advantage of those leaks in others.
Yeah, and also I guess should add too, this HUD that I'm using is pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's the smart HUD that Sky designed, and I got to tell you, like. I tried designing my own HUD. You can spend days and hours, and I mean, you could, right? And pop-ups, like, I mean, I haven't even bothered to ever try a pop-up, and he's got all these great pop-ups. Anything you need to know while you're in play, it's there. And hopefully we can kind of show how it's used a bit with maybe some of these hands along the way.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, and if you guys want, there's links at the bottom of my Twitch stream here if you guys want to get in on either of those. Yeah, so
that was the 3-6. Let's scroll down to something like with a big card, let's find like a Jack 5 or I don't know, something else that looks ugly that you shouldn't have called probably.
Well, even I'm looking at it like there's an 8-2 hand. I don't know what that maybe.
Is it? I can't see it. Is it 8-2 suited or off?
Off suited. It was like a.
It's off.
Yeah.
Let's see why you called. Let's take a look at it.
Again, this is back in April. But then I'm getting a lot of the hands that I'm thinking I should have been folded 8-7s, 8-6s. Even if they're suited, they're probably folds. Where I used to think there's value.
Yeah, it just totally depends on who the opener is and what else is going on at the table. I mean, sometimes those 8-7, suited connectors, they're not bad at all to call. They're pretty easy to play post flop. You often hit or completely miss. So,
I honestly think looking at this hand, this must have been a misclick because I'm calling a raise. The blinds are 75, 150. There was a limper and a raiser. Almost 4x, and I called.
Wait, really? 4x and you called? That has to be a misclick.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I don't blame it on misclicks very often, but that had to be a misclick. Let's chalk that up to a misclick.
Yeah.
But yeah, even like these 8-5s, pocket 8s there's a lot of hands here with pocket 8s that I called. What do you do with pocket 8s in the small blind with a 2-bet?
Well, it depends on who is doing the 2-betting, but most of the time I would just be calling to do a set mine. The pocket 8s are such a good hand. I don't want to 3-bet it and play out of position in an ugly pot. Not ugly pot, I'm sorry. I don't want to 3-bet it and play out of position in a bloated pot where just about every flop is ugly for pocket 8s. Anything from 10s and above are bad cards for you.
Right.
And even when all 3 cards are lower than the 8, deuce 3-5 kind of a flop, you don't know what you want on the turn or the river. So as soon as you bet the flop and he calls on a deuce 3-5, you have pocket 8s. You bet he calls turn comes a king. What do you do at that point?
Well, I think now you got to bet, right? I mean, in the past I would.
But then as soon as he raises, what do? You're just going to ditch the hand.
Well, exactly. You're putting yourself in a spot you don't want to be in.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's why with those we're talking about tournament play, of course.
Yep.
So let's say you're somewhere 15 BBs or below. And depending on the opener, with pocket 8s, I would often just 3-bet shove those in, to try to pick up the blinds, the antes, as well as his 2.5 BB open, whatever.
Well, I see that I called with eight times.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 9, and that's a small sample, but I won 4 of the hands and lost 5. And I mean, the one that I actually won a nice pot was I flopped a set. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's the odds just aren't there enough, right?
Yeah, no, they're not. And that's basically what I'd be doing with those pocket eights. I mean, I'm just calling to set mine, maybe even flop an open ender, 6, 7, 9 or something like that,
Yeah.
and be able to maybe put some pressure on my opponent. Or oftentimes with a hand like pocket eights, it will win at showdown in a when there's no action, flop, turn, and river, So
Yeah.
whatever the flop comes, you check, he checks behind, turn comes an ace. He doesn't have an ace, so you check and he checks again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Eights can win that way when there's no action, but as soon as there's action from the other guy, when you got pocket eights out of position, you're probably going to fold unless you caught something really pretty.
Yeah, so it's kind of a set mine, right? And set mining isn't that really that profitable in that spot at all.
Well, in tournaments, it often isn't. In cash games, set mining is great because you're
Right.
often dealing with 100 BB or more stacks.
Right.
You've got that 20x behind to make it profitable, for implied odds and everything.
Right.
And then let's see, Wayhan just said, I just got the Smart HUD from Sky recently. I finally made something while live. Yay, Smart HUD rocks. Thanks, Wayhan.
Yeah, and then that's Mouse Anderson that says he finally made something live.
Oh, that was Mouse. Oh,
Yeah.
a different guy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah, I'm just looking through too because I have, a lot of times I'll review spots, like I'll tag them while I'm in play. I don't know if any of you do that, but you can click on that little poker chip at the top and tag the hand for later review. Oh, here's one here. So let's take a look at this.
Okay.
Replay this hand. Okay. Yeah,
so that's you with pocket tens.
Yeah.
Now, pocket tens isn't it's just the strength of pocket tens. I would sometimes 3-bet, and I would sometimes just call. Never fold unless I'm facing an open and a 3-bet. I might fold, depending on the players or something. But
You're right.
tens are going to be played by me no matter what, at least for a call, but possibly for a 3-bet, depending on the action.
Well, I think like we just talked all that about the eights, and now we're in the small blind with tens. Like tens are a lot stronger than eights. Like it's. My worry here with 3-betting it would be that somebody 4-bets and we don't get to play the hand any further because I'm probably going to give up on the 4-bet.
Yeah, totally possible. What you have 63 big blinds. Is that the effective? Do they have more than you?
Yes, both these players have more.
Okay.
So it looks like I elected to call.
Okay, yeah.
Big blind folds. Okay. I already know this hand because I actually, now that I see it, I reviewed it. So I'm not going to put my 2 cents in. What do you like here?
Let me see. You're in the small blind right there.
Yeah. His C bet was,
how much is his? Is it a full 3x? It looks like his open.
It was 160. He made 480.
480.
So he 3x'd it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have two.
You just call. So you're just heads up. You're out of position on the flop right here. And then you've got that much behind. What's his C bet? I can't see.
Well, it's only it's 75, but that's 3 out of 4. So I mean that's telling.
That's
I mean it's small, but it's still telling. I mean he's betting every time, right?
Yeah. You're right. Well, in this spot right here, I'm definitely fine with a check raise. I'm not too worried about like a flush draw or anything. I mean, I'm good with a check raise right here, trying to scare him off possibly 2 overcards, but at the same time, if he chooses to call, I'm getting value out of ace king, ace queen, king queen, king jack, all those different kinds of hands that could put out the c bet here and might choose to call your check raise because of the just because they have position on you.
I think, and I everything you just said, I think is 100% correct. But I also think this is one of these spots where a donk bet might be just as good, if not a better play.
Yeah.
Partly, I mean, we have an overpair, so we've got a very strong pair to the board. The reason I like a donk bet too is if I donk bet 2/3 pot here, and he raises, what is he telling me?
That he has a better pair.
Yeah, like he could have the jacks, I mean maybe not, maybe he just does have a 9 or a flush draw, but I'm thinking that if I bet into him here, that's going to be a scary bet for him. But I elected to do what you said, and I went for the check raise.
Cool. Yeah.
And he just called.
Uh-huh.
So now what on the turn?
What is a six at this point? I mean, the six doesn't scare me. It's not like I think he had a deuce. I'm sorry, a 4 or 5 and suddenly hit a straight.
Right.
And then the odds that he has pocket sixes, yeah, that's possible. So at this point, he just called you on the flop. You still most likely have the best hand, and I would throw out another. Uh,
Another bet lead this time.
Not another bet. I mean, but
I think we have to lead here now because
I think now is leading. You're right.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, what did he call the check raise with? I mean, we could get into flop zone and look, but I mean, I think that flush draws were calling there, and he could have even been calling with a couple of overcards, but he's got a pair. He's got a piece of it. So we need to protect our value here or our equity. The six, obviously, yeah, I'm not worried about the six at all. That's a great card for us there. Okay, now what with the queen?
Real quick, Mouse Anderson said, "Can you expand the replayer so it's easier to see?"
Oh, yeah, for sure.
For me too, because I can't.
Sorry,
it's
guys.
hard for me to make it out as well.
I should have thought of that. I've got this nice 32-inch monitor. I wasn't thinking of you guys. Okay, better? Is that big enough?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It helps.
Okay. So now what do you like? We have 4,600 chips left, so we've got like less than half the pot left in our stack.
Yeah. At this point, there's a flush draw out there. If you check, he's gonna bet, and you're basically checking to fold. I mean, checking here just to fold, right?
Yep.
So I think what you've got to do is just put it out there, and because if you think that he played the flop in the turn the way he did with a flush draw, then it's possible that queen helped him. But I'm thinking you still have the best hand here, and
there's too many hands he could have that he could miss with here still too, right? And I mean, if we bet all of a sudden all in, I mean, what's to make him think that maybe he thinks we're on the flush draw?
Yeah, exactly.
We got to take the initiative here. This is where one of those things where aggression rules. If we check, we just give him we're putting up the white flag. We just check raise the flop, barreled the turn, and now all of a sudden we check on the river. We're saying I have nothing.
Yep.
Right?
Once you check the river. Yeah,
So,
you're saying that I had a 9 the whole way.
Yeah.
And then you have better than the 9. So I think shoving the river is the best play here.
And he had pocket fours, and he called it down.
Oh.
So imagine, like you say, if we had checked, he's going to shove it, and I'm going to fold to a pair of fours.
Exactly. Yep. Which isn't the worst thing. I mean, you bluff people, and occasionally you get bluffed as well. But I think it is definitely best. Well, I should say it's not the worst thing. It's terrible getting bluffed, but it's to be expected. You can't always pick off every single bluff. So a checking there would lead to a fold. So I'm definitely good with shoving.
Sorry, I'm just Wayne's asking turn hand to a bluff catcher. Do you mean on the river? I'm not sure on the river.
Well, that's what he's saying. I mean, he's saying no matter what, you're down with. You think you have the best hand no matter what. That's what. What's the name? Wayhan. Wayhan thinks right now that that the pocket tens is the best hand. So why not check and let him bluff at it and call no matter what? So you're checking with the intention of calling anything. Or if he checks behind, so be it. You see the river. Most likely you're going to win with your showdown value hand.
Right.
I think that's what he's saying.
One thing I found too that I miss a lot of value in these spots where I would have, like you said, I would have checked there and then he checks back and then I take the pot. But look at the extra value I got out of the hand, right?
Yep.
I think. One thing I'm trying to do is bet more in these spots instead of just, okay, let's check down on the river.
Yeah. And that's why you had given me that recommendation of putting the adding to the HUD the river bet and the river fold to bet stats within the HUD right there instead of having them in a pop-up. And that makes so much more sense because now you can see against guys like this, where if you do have a lot of hands on a guy, they're especially great for cash games. MTTs maybe not so much. Sit and goes if you play with the same guys a lot is good. Gather up a ton of hands, but when you get to see how often they bet the river, like let's say you had 500 hands on the guy and you saw his river bet percentage was only 20%. Well, when that flush card hits or that overcard hits and he bets, you could probably safely fold the pocket tens.
Right.
But if he had a river betting of, 60, 70%, and that queen of clubs hits, you're calling no matter what because this guy loves to bluff the rivers.
Right, yeah. And that's just what it comes down to. It just gives you that little bit more information to know what to do on the river, right? And I've never used that stat before, and I just started using it recently, and it definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah, I just started using it a lot more because it's in the HUD now.
Right. Yeah.
as
Yeah.
opposed to the pop-up. When things are in the pop-up, you kind of sometimes forget that they're there and you don't utilize them as much.
That's the same with this stat that you just added too. Is this the one? Fold small blind to big blind. Is that where it is?
Fold big blind to small
Or
blind.
yeah, fold big blind to small blind in the open.
Yeah,
Everybody
that's that
should.
in the top right, that BB.
Yeah, that's so
yeah,
crucial. Like that's such, everybody says, "Oh, it's in my pop-up." Well, yeah. Do you actually go to your pop-up to look when it's there on top? Like you know right away. That's the first stat I look at every time I'm in the small blind if I have a lot of hands on the guy.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if I had any other ones flagged here in the small blind.
But I do like on your play on that other hand, donk leading right there. And then what sizing would you use? Like with those pocket tens, would you use like 2/3 or just half pot?
For sure, 2/3. If I'm leading out, even when I'm c betting anymore, if I'm out of position, 2/3 pot.
I'm going that way too. You'll hear in the Patreon podcast that I'm sending out tomorrow. I'm changing my standard betting from roughly half pot to roughly 2/3 pot. I'm going to up it a little bit because half pot it just doesn't work as often as you would want it to.
Yeah, especially out of position, right? Like when it's the best way to think about it. I think is when you're making a bet. Think about how would you feel if you faced that bet. Mm-hmm. And when I see a 2/3 pot bet, or if a guy bets, let's put it this way: if a guy bets the pot on the flop, I'm almost folding anything. I'm folding top pair because it's like, wow, he's betting the pot. What does he have? Mm-hmm. So those are good ways. So bet a little bit bigger. It has to work 40%. If you bet 2/3 pot, sure, it has to work 40% of the time instead of 33% of the time with the half pot bet. Mm-hmm. But it's so much harder for them to call. And oh, this is just I don't know why. Oh, I flagged this one because I was trying to figure out how to use card runners VV. That was an easy call with queens.
Hey, in Poker Tracker 4, your seat keeps getting moved around. You don't have.
Oh, I haven't. It's different for 6-handed and 9-handed. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, I guess Noodle was confused too, but that makes a lot of sense. I'm hoping that means that whatever was confusing that we explained it.
I hope so.
If not, let us know, Mark.
Yeah. Well, he's busy playing his ACR tournament anyway.
Yeah, he's probably playing an ACR tournament. He's probably got a few hands of PLO cash going, and he's talking and streaming.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's a multitasker.
Yeah. I don't have.
So what other hand do you have tagged that we can take a look at in the small blind?
It doesn't look like I have any other tagged in the small blind.
Okay.
But.
Well, let's look at some kind of like big card, small card hand, like Jack 5, like I was saying.
Right.
That you called.
Let's find some garbage. Oh, actually, you know what? The good news is it doesn't look like I'm calling hands like those. It's all gappers and suited gappers, other than that 8-2.
Yeah.
9-8, 9-6. 9s, a lot of 9s. Oh, there's a 10-4 suited. I won a big pot with it, though.
Oh, let's take a look. Maybe you had a good reason to call. Because occasionally, just because you're showing a lot of negative, very negative profitability in the small blind, that doesn't mean sometimes you make good decisions, So you want to balance the good with the bad and take a look at maybe there was a reason on this hand with the 10-4 suited that you made a good call, and it was a well chosen hand to defend with,
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Got another guy from who's got a percentage, and Alex on the stream here too, Angelo.
Oh, does he? Good.
Yeah. I think he does. Angelo, did you get in on that?
Goodness, Angelo, we've all got a piece of Alex, so it's pretty good. I was a little sad, but at the same time happy with the news today.
Now that I say that, I'm trying to remember if he did or not, because I know we have a group that does live poker 101 with Alex, and I messaged saying, "Hey, did everybody get in?" And a couple said I'm thinking about it, and they were too late when they were thinking about it.
Oh man, I jumped right on it as soon as I woke up in the morning and saw that email.
Yeah.
I did not waste a second.
Okay, so we had a guy go all in for less than the big blind, and then a guy min raised. Because the blinds are 2 and 400, so maybe that's why I decided that I should call.
What is your stack? I can't. 15?
I've got 49 big blinds.
49 big blinds, gotcha.
And he's got me well covered.
Oh, he made it 4x though?
No, it was because the blind, mine 200, 400. The Nissim here had less than 200 chips left.
I got you. It was just a mid raise. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of calling this. I mean, I would often just let the guy isolate that one, one big blind short stacker. But sometimes it's, yeah, I mean, you took a chance right here and you caught a pretty decent flop, a hard to hit flop for anybody, but you hit it pretty squarely, not squarely, but I mean, you hit it pretty well with a flush draw at least.
Enough to be, yeah. Just sorry, I just want to say thanks, Wayne. We just got another follower here.
Yep, nice.
Thanks for the follow. Okay, so yeah, so we're in a spot here again where we could. I mean, we could look for a check raise, but I'm thinking a donk lead is better here at this point with the flush draw, maybe? I don't know. It's hard to say what he raised, so maybe I should wait to see what he does. His C-bet is 47.
C-bet is 47? Okay, that means he's pretty flop honest. What I would probably do here is just lead out donk lead, have some of that fold equity.
Yeah.
But then, you also have your hand is pretty disguised right here with the flush draw.
Yeah.
And then so, you hit that flush on the turn, you lead out again, leading out 2 streets in a row when you hit the turn to flush. He's probably not going to expect the flush. He might expect that you have a 9 that you're hitting with, or maybe 2 overcards, something like that. So
Right.
I really do like the donk lead here with the flush. And if he ends up popping it on you, then you can look at how much he's trying to make it, to determine whether or not you should continue. But I like the donk lead in this spot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like that too is, whenever somebody bets here, you got to, when somebody leads into me here, if I was alien here, right away I'm thinking, oh, great, he's got a 2.
Mm-hmm. No, you expanded even further. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
somebody said they couldn't see it, so
Yeah.
So I went, I just check called. Interesting.
Well,
Again,
that's not a bad play. I mean, you're keeping the pot small right there. The guy doesn't see bet often. So it's very likely, not likely, it's very possible that you were going to get a free turn card by doing that.
right.
You don't have any fold equity because he could hit his king or queen on the turn to end up getting a pair and he'll be staying in,
Yeah.
But so you got to see the turn right there.
Yeah. Thanks for the follow,
not
Mouse.
too expensive of a price.
So we just got another follower. Just want to say thanks, Mouse, for the follow.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now we've picked up equity. Right now we got top pair and a flush draw. His C-bet was 47. His C-bet, so his double barrel is 4 for 4. So maybe with that, maybe it's a good spot to let him hang himself.
Yeah. Let him do it. I'm down with that.
Yeah, and he bet all in.
Oh, but it's a big barrel.
Now him going all in here, but again, and I called, but I mean top pair and a flush draw. I think that's a call. Anyway.
Yeah, I would say so too. I wouldn't. I'm not auto calling. I'm giving it some thought.
Yeah.
And
I hit the flush.
And so his overbet right there, it doesn't scream value. I mean, if the guy has some kind of like an overpair queens or jacks or something, or aces or kings, I don't think he's overbetting. Oftentimes, people aren't overbet shoving for value. They're overbet shoving to try to bluff you off your hand, and you have plenty of equity enough to call, I think.
Yeah, and then exactly what you just said. Look what he showed up with 4s, right? Exactly what he seemed like he had when he made that bet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I need to take a note of this. When I play against you, do not play pocket 4s.
Yeah.
Because you just run over pocket 4s, even with your 10-4 suited.
So far, I had aces. I had my aces cracked by pocket 4s 2 times within 10 minutes last weekend. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So maybe win some, you lose some.
Maybe I should play it. I don't know.
There's a small pot I lost calling with 10-7, 10-8, 10-9. Looking for some.
Yeah, those small pots are probably where you just completed 2 big blind or 2.5 big blind and just gave up on the flop. So those aren't really. Don't really need to look at those. What's good is looking at those ugly hands. Oh, a jack 6 where you lost a decent pot.
Yeah. So here it is.
Now, right now, when you think about just jack 6 offsuit, are you ever really going to call that?
Well, what happened here?
I don't know. Did you?
Because we only said calling 2 bets, right?
Yeah. Oh, so you called. You completed. So it was a 3-way.
Oh, yeah. There was no raise. Yeah. Again, so this is a play that I wouldn't make anymore. I would honestly, if this folded to me, I would raise it to 7,200.
Yeah.
Actually,
so 3x, huh?
And it would have put him all in. So this guy has 6,600 chips, and I limped in to give him a chance to make a move on me, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I would have just 3x'd it. I always go 3x in the small blind now. and he went all in, and I called. I mean, I guess I was destined to lose if it went all in, but would he have called with ace-8? Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those hands, right? I played it. I still played it wrong. I should have shoved.
Well, I mean, he had such a small stack. Yeah, I would have just shoved if I were you. And yeah, you're only putting 4 big blinds to risk, and you have 61, so it's really not that. Yeah, I'm not giving him a free half a blind. I am definitely challenging him there.
Just Rob Gagliardi showed up now too.
Oh, cool.
Just asking to make sure tell him to make sure he cuts me up here. He's really good to do these hands with. He really makes you think. He won't let you get away with, oh, I made the right decision. He says, oh yeah, well, what about this, and then what about this, and what about that, right? So
good.
Yeah,
right.
We're gonna be. I hope we are. We've been going Tuesday nights at 6 o'clock, and we did last week on here. So hopefully tomorrow, if anybody's interested, 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll probably be going again. Me and Rob doing some hand reviews.
Good.
I got some Jack 8 hands. Again, those are probably too weak to be calling.
Yep.
Right? So like these are even just overviewing, seeing the hands I'm calling with. You can see the hands that you need to eliminate those spots. And those are all offsuit hands too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Jack 10 offsuit, which I think is a fold now, even though I've been making that call. And actually, I'm glad you showed me to do it this way, Sky, by hand, because look at all these Jack 10 hands.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them.
Yep.
I'm just going to stretch this down.
And Jack 10s aren't, in general, they're not bad to be calling.
I think offsuit in the small blind they are, though. Like, they're like, I don't think that we're putting ourselves out of position.
Yep.
And you look at all these hands, and these are all Jack 10. And only 3
and
of
those are all the ones that you call. So that's why you saw all those Jack 9s and Jack 8s, that you don't have that many. So that means you're folding them quite often.
But
those Jack 10s, you see the Jack 10 and you think, I got to play this. I got to see the flop of it.
Yeah, so the problem is, like, all those Jack 10s, and I only won 3 of those hands. Thanks for the follow, Jay Fitch. Appreciate it. So with all those Jack 10s, and I only won 3 or 4 hands out of all of them, so it kind of shows like it's not a
winning hand out of position.
And all of those were not suited either. One was suited and it lost 2. But I mean, suited and not suited with Jack 10 is a huge difference.
It is. It's like a 3.5 or 4% difference in equity versus most ranges, suited versus off.
Yeah.
But like every little bit helps, especially when you know you're calling out of position.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people. When was it? It was last week actually when me and Rob were doing a session, and we were talking about the difference between calling or playing a hand. Like, I think it was 9-8 offsuit, and I said I would have played it if it was suited, but it's not suited, so I'm not playing it. And somebody commented, well, it's only 3% difference in equity, but it's a huge, like, that's pre-flop, right? Once the flop comes, you've got so many more opportunities to play that 9-8 suited. Yeah. It's so much more playable after the flop, with backdoor draws and donk leading and that sort of thing, right?
Totally. One thing that I can't remember where, it might have been a podcast, somebody else, I just cannot remember where, but somebody had made the analogy or comparison or whatever. The casinos have made millions and billions of dollars on blackjack, right? Well, blackjack only has like what's the edge on blackjack? Really small.
1%. 1%.
Yeah, 1% edge. So if you can have a 3% edge by playing suited hands versus offsuit, your edge in that hand is slightly better than the millions or billions that casinos have used playing blackjack. So that was one thing that really made me think, yeah, suited does make sense to go with more often than not. If you have a choice between suited or offsuit, you're always going to choose suited.
Rob just commented, he said 3% is what they build the entire casinos on.
Yep, that's right.
So if we could start picking up 5 or 10% edges, you're going to do well.
Totally.
It's just that, but remember, that's the thing. I think that's a good analogy to think of too when you're playing cards and you're running bad or you're feeling like it's just falling apart. Mm-hmm. Think about the casino, right? You go in there, every time you go into a casino, you'll see people with smiles on their faces walking away from blackjack tables or roulette tables or baccarat tables. But if you went and saw those people 100 times, you'll see them upset a lot more than you'll see them happy leaving.
Totally. 100%. Hey, let's do something real quick. So, you said, I'm trying to look here. It says it looks like we're looking at all dates, right, in your filters?
Yes.
In your poker tracker? Okay, let's look at when did you start your training and stuff? When did you start really drilling down and improving your skills with Alex?
The summer would be a safer point. I can filter to the last 100 hands. I've got a most recent 500 hands in the small blind.
Well, let's not do that. Let's
just go by dates.
instead of all dates in the date, do since date.
Okay.
And then choose, I don't know, mid-August or late August, whenever you think your game might have changed.
Sure. Oops. Where did it go? I mean, all dates. 17. How do you skip the month there?
There's an arrow back. So since date, and then pull that, and then there's an arrow up next to December.
It says February, and then I'm clicking it, but then it closes every time I do it. It goes ahead 1 month.
Oh, well then, okay, don't do that.
Click on the actual calendar?
No, click within, like, the numbers there. And then change the number to, like, 8 for the month.
Gotcha.
For the number of the month.
Down here?
No, up just above that box that pops up. It says 2017
Gotcha.
0201 or whatever. Change the month, the number to 08.
Oh, 08. There. That's the American way, right? Yep. Okay. So they're going, so these are all looking November, August, October, that sort of thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so just look through hands from here. Go by the hand. The whole card is still sorted.
Yep. And then, so what month are we looking from? From sometime?
Well, it's not by date, right? Like there's August, September. They're jumping around because it's sorted by hands.
Yeah, but I mean, it's you have it. You're only filtering from hands from August forward, right?
Sorry,
I just can't see it exactly so well.
Sorry, say that again.
You're only filtering from hands. It looks like August 5th.
Yes, since August.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. So what is your BB per 100 now in the small blind?
So that's statistics, right?
Mm-hmm. So look at that report again and just see.
It's minus 500.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it jumped.
So it's like I said,
it was negative 300 big blinds per 100 hands in the small blind.
Is that what it was at? Yeah.
That's what it was at before. So now you've narrowed the hands that you're looking at. Instead of looking at all year or whatever it was, you're looking at from August forward.
Right. And
now your losses have jumped up to negative 500.
Right. And what I attribute that to too is, again, a lot of the study that I did was sorry, Rob says his game has started to change the last 2 weeks ago when he started studying with me.
Okay.
But sorry, yeah. So a lot of the mistake I made was a lot of the study with like donk betting and check raising that I did said to with Alex's webinars and study, I took the big blind play as being the small blind being the same as the big blind, if that makes sense. So I was calling a lot of bets, min bets from the big blind. I figured, well, why don't I call them from the small blind too?
Oh,
so I think so. So I was making a lot of those plays from the small blind where I shouldn't have even been in. So along with that, when I could if I could complete the small blind, say 2 people limped or 1 person limped, I was calling with almost anything, because if I'm calling a raise in the big blind with almost anything, why not complete with anything in the small blind? And that was a huge mistake, and that's showing it right there that it actually made things. It compounded my problems.
You're right. That is showing it for sure. That's really interesting.
So just because a play works in one position doesn't mean it works in another position.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. So like like Rob said 2 weeks ago is when you really started to improve your game. Huh?
You know, it's funny. We could filter for 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks, and as much. You know what? Maybe Rob has a point, because the first night I studied with Rob, I won a tournament later that night, and then last Wednesday I did my stream and I won and finished third in another and a 13th. So yeah, things have been going pretty good since I started with Rob.
Good, yeah. So I bet your big blind per 100 profitability has skyrocketed this past 2 weeks.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Actually,
so let's take a look real quick. I've only got a few more minutes.
Yep.
I've got to get with the kids and dinner and stuff and everything.
For sure.
But take a look at that. Whip out that Word document again. What was the other filter that I sent you? The second one.
Actions and opportunities pre-flop called 2-bet. That's what we just did.
The second group of filters.
Actions and opportunities, posted small blind, pre-flop raises, raised first in. And I saved that one.
So let's take a look real quick. Let's filter for that profitability. Instead of calling the two bets in the small blind, let's take a look now at your open raising in the small blind. So it's folded around to you.
And and like I said, I saved that quick filter. Raise first in from small blind. I don't know if anybody uses Poker Tracker, if you knew you could do that, but I save, if I find a good filter I like for studying, just save it. You don't have to try and recreate it every time.
Totally.
Okay. So when I raise first in.
And this is from August forward, right? Not all year like it was before.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and so this has been a big improvement in my game of something that I wasn't doing, but I started. When I raise first in from the small blind, I've got a 8.8 profitable big blinds per 100.
Hey, that's great. That means every time you raise, on average, over how many hands is it we're looking at? 180 hands?
It's only 180 hands, but...
Well, that's pretty good. I mean, you're making 8 big blinds every time you do it on average.
Right.
Yeah. So that means you're either... that can mean a few things. Either you're picking your spots really well, you're tailoring your raises to your opponents, or maybe you're playing really well post-flop and getting value out of the guy or pushing them off of the hands. So when you look at this kind of this filter, you don't exactly know where your profits are coming from. Maybe you're making really good pre-flop decisions or post-flop decisions or both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what you could do is just open raising. You have good profitability. You can now filter this down further to see showdown hands. I'm not showdown hands. Hands where you saw the flop. So you can add that filter to it. So where you open raised and saw a flop and see where that profitability is.
Okay, so more filters. So how would I add actions and opportunities? Or
actions, opportunities, and then flop. And then click on soft flop right at the top. And then add filter, save and apply. So now this is where you open raised in the small blind and you saw a flop. So let's look at your BB per 100 with this filter.
Now that dropped down to 66 hands, and it's a minus 141 per 100.
Okay, so that tells me right now that when you are getting called, so you open in the small blind, you're getting called by the big blind, and you're seeing a flop. A couple of things are happening. You're either just giving up because you're out of position and completely whiffing. You are betting, and he's raising to push you off the pot. Or basically you're just not playing good post-flop poker and you're losing a lot of pots. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I believe there's a good hand in here that we can show an example. Okay.
But the fact that this is negative when you saw a flop, that means you're doing really well and stealing a lot pre-flop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because you're taking that negative number right now, and with your with all the pre-flop folds you're getting, you're turning that overall filter into a positive outcome when you're opening pre-flop.
Correct. Okay, well here's
your
a quick...
losses right now when you're opening are coming from seeing the flop. So now what you can do is drill through all of these hands. I know you said you had a good one marked or tagged, but basically you can take a look at all these hands and see why am I losing money post-flop now when I raise pre.
Right. Now here's an example of my last lesson with Alex. We reviewed this hand.
Okay.
And it helped him find one of my leaks. So it folds around to me. I've got queens. Everybody I'm sure is going to raise. He calls. The flop comes, an 8-4-5. So obviously I'm going to bet. And he calls. Now,
real quick. What is your? I see his is. Oh, the effect is 58 BBs because you've got him covered, right?
Yeah.
You have 80.
Yeah, he's got the effective stack. Okay, so I bet he called. Now, here's the question Alex asked me. What is he calling with? What is the best hand he's calling me with right now?
He just called you pre-flop. The best hand he's calling you with is jacks and tens are going to 3-bet you. Nines.
Or calling the flop bet. So yes.
No, I'm thinking about
I gotcha.
he got to the flop bet. So he just called you pre. I'm thinking 10, maybe nines and better are 3-betting. So... his best non-set hand is pocket sevens.
So my answer was my answer would be the best he's got is an 8. Sevens so he's got 8s, like he could have an 8, 9, or he's got an 8 or a pair, like you said, a smaller pair.
I guess I see what you're saying. Yes, 8, 9 as well. Ace 8 he has. Yes. So
and Rob saying in the chat he's got Ace X or something possibly, right? Okay. So if that's the case, that's the kind of the range we're putting him on. Let's hit play here. A 4, and I bet again, and he calls. Now, would he call with a 4 here, or would he be raising?
Oh, he'd be raising at this point to get value out of you.
Right. So keep
So
that in
he would get
mind.
his full stack in on the river.
Now the king hits on the river. What do you do?
I'm going to be value betting again on the river.
Okay. So he's got 19,000 chips left, and I have 32,000.
Mm-hmm.
Alex says this is an easy jam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
like the jam because the jam makes it look like you're trying to bluff him off because you suddenly just throw out the full stack instead of making like a half pot bet or something.
Yep.
I like the full jam because most likely he's calling because he does not believe the king helped you, and he thought he was best on the flop and turn. So he thinks he's best on the river, I think, as well.
See, and you've said that. Alex said that. We've got in the chat here. Rob said he was chasing an ace, not worried about the king. Says Noodle, triple barrel, and Dennis check. Folds.
Oh, man. You got folded.
So I've always got that when I'm in, the monsters under the bed there. So when I'm losing that many big blinds, part of it is because I'm not being aggressive enough in firing that triple barrel when what I think is a scare card comes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay? And then
that's totally possible.
So part of my homework was to start playing more aggressive in the small blind. So that night I played a tournament after class. I'll just show this if you got time for one more hand.
Yeah, totally do it.
And this is what I'm trying to add to my game. Now maybe this wasn't perfect, but yeah, Rob says there's your leak. Yes, sir, Rob, you're right. I got to start triple barreling. Got to quit seeing the monsters under the bed or hearing them. So I raise. This is a typical raise for me now in the small blind.
Okay.
Because, like, again, what does he think I have, right? So he calls, and I fired just to have a continuation bet. It's not a scary spot for either of us, but, a lot of people will just fold on the continuation bet there if they have nothing. Again, and so now what I'm trying to think is, okay, well, same thing. The flush draw was there. Would he have called me with a queen? I don't think so. I mean, maybe some players will get sneaky there, but I think he's probably going to want to raise and get value on the flop. So
well, yes, that's most players will, but I think with the stacks and with the pot is 7,000 or so right now. It's really easy by just calling here to still get stacks in by the river if he does have a queen. So and he has position too. If he just calls you and you check the turn, he can easily fire a bet on the turn just so that he can easily get the rest of it in on the river.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the percentage is. 60-40 he's betting versus checking, but you can't say. I wouldn't say that he's not ever just calling the flop right there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it is possible he's slow playing you.
So I went for the double barrel, and he only called again. So, again, like you say, he could be, okay, he's going to keep betting. I'll just let him hang himself if he has a queen.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, instead of doing the check fold, he's got 14,000 chips left. This time I jammed.
Yeah. I like it.
And it got the fold. Now, that's a play I would have never done before that, right?
Yeah.
Angelo looking to raise the turn. Yeah, but he didn't, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm okay with jamming it finally on the river.
Yeah, definitely. If he would have raised that turn right there, that is a quick indication that you're beat, and you probably would have folded, would be my guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I would have right there because at that point, once you bet that turn, his stack is so short that a raise looks like he's just totally pot committed. He loves his hand. He could be doing it as a bluff, but I would have to fold to a raise on that turn if I were you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Even though you hit some equity there.
Yeah, and that's why I say if he had raised, it's a different story. But because he was just calling, it's hard for him to have a queen.
Yep. 100%.
There's only two in the deck, right? Two more in the deck. So and that flush, if he was calling with a flush draw, well then he's doubling up on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm down with the play. I like that triple barrel. I think it was a good spot to do it, and it's a really good flop to do it right there. That just the fact that a queen 8, everybody knows paired boards are just tough to hit in general.
Well, it's either that or a check raise, and I feel a lot better betting it out instead of having to try and check raise there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And baiting out just looks so much more scary. A lot of people nowadays, they consider the check raise can be a cheap bluff, especially if you like to do a min check raise. I see those all the time as those are just not always, but quite often they're bluffs when people are min check raising flops.
Angelo's saying not every. He meant he doesn't think everyone raises the flop of the flush draw. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. Yeah.
Yep. Plumber says, I think someone can call. Totally, someone could call with a flush draw. You're right about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I'm not saying they can't, but I mean that's another thing. I think, and I fall into the camp of when there's a paired card on the board, or there's a flush possible on the board. Right away, I put in my head, oh my god, he's got it, and it's really hard for them to have it, right?
Yeah, me too. I've had that negative outlook for a really long time. Like you said, seeing monsters under the bed. It's something I've really actively been working on not seeing that. Getting that out of my head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you need to call it a night or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I've got to do some stuff with the kids, help them with homework and everything. But hey, this was a good session. I really appreciate you inviting me on, Dennis. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to do it. I'm glad everybody came to watch and put in their 2 cents. We'll have to do it again, but yeah. And,
absolutely. We'll do it at least one more time before the new year, sometime in December.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, if anybody else has any other questions, I mean, most of you guys know how to get a hold of Sky, or you can follow me on Twitter, tweet me there, or on Facebook or whatever, and go from there. And I will try and keep you guys posted when there'll be another one.
Perfect. All right. Thanks for your time tonight, Dennis. I appreciate it.
All right. Talk to you later, Sky.
I'll catch you later. Bye.
Yeah. Thanks, dude boobs. Am I saying that right? Yeah, thanks for coming, Jay Fish. Thanks you guys for coming. Really appreciate it. Like I said, me and Rob, I think Rob said he can't do tomorrow, but definitely I'll let you guys know, and anytime I'm playing. And I'm going to put these videos on YouTube. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for telling me good job. Thanks for the follows, everybody. I guess I'm not very good at this streaming thing, how I'm supposed to end this. See ya, Wacky Juan. That's Sky saying see ya. Dude with boobs. Nice dude boobs. Wayne found through Skype. Yeah, a lot of you guys found this through Skype. Wednesday, Rob says, yeah, Rob, I'll talk to you after I'm done on the stream here. I'll talk to you on Skype, what we can figure out. But yeah, again, Sky's a great guy. And like I said, anything you guys can help him out with. If you use my links at the bottom, yeah, thanks, dude boobs. I will say bye. Just want to say the links at the bottom for Sky's stuff, they all link to his page, so he will make some money off of that, which, I mean, that's not the be-all, end-all, but if you're going to get the software anywhere, you might as well help him out. Anyway, I'm going to take dude boobs, the dude with boobs advice here, and I'm going to say bye. See you guys. Thanks a lot.